Hello and welcome back to the Energizing Life podcast with AKR Fitness. I'm Jase and I've got Mike here.
Hello.
How are we doing?
I'm doing great, Jase. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm excited for today's episode. If you listened into the last episode that we did, we spoke about living life on purpose, with an intention and by priority. Today we've got a special guest and another member, Stan. What's most important to you?
Athletics is important to me. It's my life, and I'm a sprinter with Aberdeen Athletic Club, and I've competed all over this country and in Europe.
Look at that.
So, welcome, Stan. Great to have you with us. So you first joined AKR April 2019.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just give us a little background. How did AKR get on your radar, and what triggered that interest?
AKR came under my radar thanks to Jase. Jase had been training at the Sports Village, and he joined our group, and he basically planted a few seeds as in how to improve my long-term performance. And in 2019, it was a big birthday for me. I turned 50, and I was essentially looking to improve my performance to quite a high level again.
So, for the listener, Jase has dabbled in a bit of sprinting as well.
Yeah, you can say dabbled, yes. Very much dabbled.
Sorry, were you finished?
No, yeah, that's good.
That
was like my sprinting career.
Right.
He looked a bit lonely when he was training at the track, so we asked him to join us.
And when you said he planted some seeds, was he specifically mentioning strength training to you? Or?
Not to start with. We trained 3 nights a week in our sprinting at the Sports Village, and on a Thursday night we were dabbling in little bits of plyometrics and stuff like that. And Jase came up with some good ideas on how to improve our small group, and it kind of went on from there.
Spiraled from there.
Yeah.
So at that time, so you were 49. You've been sprinting your whole life.
Pretty much, yeah. Off and on, yeah. I started thanks to my PE teacher at secondary school. At 15-year-old, I did really well in the school sports, and she suggested that I immediately join an athletic club and try and take things from there. She obviously saw something.
Yeah. And what was that about sprinting for you?
Speed. I love to run fast. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel great.
Yeah. And what's different about running fast than, say, hopping on a motorbike or a bicycle or a car? If it's about the speed.
Because you're doing it all, you're doing everything yourself.
Yeah.
When you jump on a bike, the performance is there. Your feet or whatever, and I like to move fast.
Yeah.
I actually thought you were about to ask, what's the difference between running fast and running slow?
Speed.
Probably
more to it, actually, as Stan probably share. So sprinting for you, is it the feeling then? Is that essentially it? Just the feeling of running fast?
It's a feeling. Although I'm essentially a nervous character, and shy, deep down I like to win. I don't like to lose. So it's all about getting that performance correct on the day when it comes to the championships and stuff like that. Even small races, I don't like to lose.
Even training.
So that's well, you've experienced
Even training.
that.
So I'm just trying to get to the sort of the thing that drives you. So essentially, you love the feeling of running fast. Yeah. You're also a competitive person, yeah. So there's an opportunity to compete and to win. And it sounds like there's a little bit there. You mentioned, I think, a couple of times of getting the performance right. Is there a bit there about like tweaking and optimizing and something there, seeing the improvements?
Absolutely. And sprinting is different from middle distance running. There's a lot of technical parts to it that get put together when you're running over 100, 200. It's not distance running. You can just rock up and do your 800. Obviously, there's training involved to it, but there's a lot more technical stuff involved to the sprinting side of things. Mm-hmm. You've got your starting blocks, so you've got your what we call a fast phase, first 20 metres, and then top end speed at the far end of the race.
Yeah. So I guess to the casual observer, it's just running a straight line for 15, 20 seconds, whatever it is. Yeah. But for you, there's like the different segments of the race. There's the start, there's the technique, there's all the different bits to it. Yeah. And is that something that you enjoy sort of tinkering with and working on and optimizing.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I can see him just a wee smile coming through there. So we've got the love of going fast, the love of competing, and the love of, let's call it optimizing. Maybe there's a bit in there.
Yeah. But winning is the ultimate part of it.
Winning's the key bit. Yeah. Tell us about that then. What's so important about winning? How does it feel?
Well, when you do win, it feels fantastic. Yeah, championships, even small races it's a great feeling to win. And you know that the training and the hard work that you've put in is going towards that final objective, if you like.
And where do you think that need to win comes from for you?
It's hard to say. I think when you start competing and you're crossing that line first, you're looking about for other people, and you've won. It's just fantastic.
I'm just curious to see what drives that. Do you know what was interesting? I watched the other night this Netflix documentary called Untold. It's a series called Untold.
Oh, yeah.
And it was talking about the tennis player Marty Fish.
Oh yeah.
Don't know, have you seen that?
I haven't seen the documentary.
Bizarre documentaries.
So this guy's like really, like he was in like high level training camps. He grew up training with Andy Roddick, and they were like brothers basically, trained together. But Roddick went on like to a really high level, and for a while Fish was a pro, but he was kind of like surfer dude, a bit more relaxed, not taking it super seriously.
Started to get left behind.
Yeah, and in the documentary, he said he was 28 and he got to this moment where he realised if he wanted to have these elite level experiences, he had to take a look at himself and change his training and things. And so he turned into a fitness fanatic, like totally dedicated himself to it all. And it goes to this section where Andy Roddick has said, you can usually tell someone like has this sort of killer instinct or not. Yeah. And only one person his whole life has almost flipped a switch, and it was Marty Fish. And the way it came through in the documentary was like, once he put in all this mammoth effort in order to fight and scrap to be the best, then that competitive spirit was like awoken. Yeah. Do you know, like when you've worked so hard at it? Yeah. And obviously I'm looking through this lens because I just watched the documentary, but the way you're talking about that, with working so hard in training, that feeling of then winning, do you think that makes the more work you put in, the more important winning is to you?
Absolutely. When it comes to sprinting, why would you put in the work to not win? It's all about winning, and it's all about trying to be the best you can be.
And how much is the winning against the clock, and how much is the winning actually beating other people on the track?
As you get older, it's always against the clock. When I started off in probably, what was it, 1986, 87, it was casual to start with. There was a certain amount of natural ability there, but as I got older and the times were getting quicker, at that age you do look at performance, but there's also pressure as well when it comes to having to be the best all the time or wanting to be the best all the time. And when you watch the Olympics back in those days, you had people like Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was my idol when he was a youngster, and I just wanted to be like him. That was my goal.
Yeah. And so I don't know where to go next, because I want to touch on 35 years-ish. Would that be about right?
Approximately, yeah.
Have you been sprinting that whole time?
I kind of went off the scene in my early 20s when I got married, just because it got harder. It does get harder when you're...
What, married, John?
Well, both, yeah.
Life.
Work kind of took over as well, and I kind of drifted away a little bit, and then I came back in my mid-30s and found out there was a master's scene. So I then thought, okay, maybe I can have a bash at this and see where it takes me. And it took me from mid-30s to 37 to get back to a level that was acceptable again, and worked on from there.
Acceptable?
acceptable, yeah.
To who?
To me,
Yeah. So feeling like you're competing again, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah. And so was that roughly 10 years out you had?
About that, yeah.
In that, so it sounds like, well, I want to touch on what took you away a little bit, because you mentioned pressure.
Yeah.
Was that part of what took you away, or was it necessarily like the change in life circumstances?
Pressure was definitely a part of what took me away. In 1988, I went to the Scottish Champs as favourite, and in the semi-final my blocks slipped at the start in the semi-final and kind of shattered my confidence a little bit. I finished fourth, and before I went to the Champs there was this big spread in paper like Walker likely favourite for the Scottish title and all this, and I felt like I let everyone down, and that was the start of a downward spiral.
Mm-hmm.
I was still around for a couple of years after that, but not to the same level. I just kind of tinkered around with it and then drifted slowly away.
And what do you think changed in that moment for you?
I didn't win, and I felt, as I said, I felt like I let everyone down, especially my coach. I've had the same coach for that 35-year period, which is really unusual for sprinters. People tend to move on, you're trying to better yourself, so you look for better coaches. But I've kind of stuck with the same one right through.
But so in that moment, right? There's a failure of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
You don't win. You feel like you've let everybody down. But that day, the next day, the next week, physically, you're still as good a sprinter as you were. You're still the same sprinter. So,
but mentally, you're shattered, and to an extent, because although you don't expect these things to happen, they do happen, and it doesn't just happen to me; it happens to other people as well. But the feeling of being the expectancy of
carrying the weight on your shoulders,
yeah. I just couldn't cope with it.
And so how did that show up though? Like that feeling of not being able to cope, does that mean that you no longer had the motivation to put in the training, or you just heart wasn't there, or what
kind of a little bit of both. The motivation wasn't there because I'd worked so hard to go to that Champs and didn't win, and I just felt like what's the point?
Even though the reason you didn't win was outside of you,
yeah,
right? But it was maybe that made it worse, did it?
At that time, I'd gone through the whole season. I'm not going to say unbeaten, but I'd kind of gotten to the finals, and the expectancy was there, and it had just gone. I did, as I say, I dabbled it again for a couple of years after that, but not to the same. Couldn't mentally back to the same level. It was always that something's going to go wrong.
Right. So there's like that a bit of like fear, doubt, and anxiety.
Yeah, self-doubt.
Yeah. Whereas before you were winning. You were untouchable. Here I am. And then once you had that setback, that sort of sense of doubt and anxiety grew.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you what to add in?
Yeah, I think I haven't done a lot of sprinting races, but even the ones I did do, if the blocks weren't set right or something did move, you almost felt like you couldn't even. You would tell people and be, "Oh, it's good," but nobody would buy it. But okay, you've just lost it. So it doesn't matter even if you did explain, "Oh, well, my blocks moved, it threw me off." I didn't get it.
Sprinters know, so Jase, it's all about that technical aspects to the race. If your blocks is not right, if your first 20 metres is not right, you know yourself, your race is gone.
Sprinters get it, but for the general crowd there, they just think you had a bad race, or you're not living up to the hype. So it's even worse because you can't actually explain to them what happened.
I know.
So that pressure builds even more, which is quite a bad feeling.
Especially when there's expectancy is there as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm. And so you kind of, the sprint career kind of peters out a little bit.
Petered out for a couple of years, over that 10-year sort of period.
Yeah. And then so you get married, your work picks up, and I guess it's just forgotten about for a while, is it?
It's forgotten about. I did sort of go down and join the group for a couple of months at a time, but not to get back to the same level. It was just a little bit of enjoyment and catch up with guys and that sort of thing.
And so in terms of like exercise, fitness stuff, was that all you were doing? Was like the odd spurt going down the athletics
Yeah,
track,
yeah.
and outside of that, just nothing.
Nothing at all. No, I'm a joiner to trade. I specialise in fitting windows, so it was quite a high
Active.
job. So I felt as though I was keeping myself reasonably active through my life.
Yeah. So, what do you think caused those moments where you think, I'm going to go down the track and train with the guys, and then at the same time, what made you stop again?
There's always the interest in athletics. It doesn't just go away. Just nodding his head there. He knows how it feels. You go down, you catch up with guys, you do a couple of sessions, and you think, okay, yeah, it feels good, but can I go back to racing again? Nah, I'm too busy at work, and
something comes up, and
wife at home, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Different priorities.
It's funny. It's interesting because in the last episode we're talking about how your life demonstrates what's most important to you, and even in that period where you've given up sprinting, it's still eating away at you a little bit. By the sounds of it, you're still like, I'll go in, I'll dip a toe in again. I can't.
Well, you get things every, like Olympics and World Champs, and you think, okay, the interest's back again, and it just lights a fire, but it's not quite the fire you want it to be, and it drifts away. But if you want to move on to how I got back into it,
yeah, I do. Yeah,
divorce set me back into athletics, and I thought, okay, what can I do to sort of fill my time in the evenings instead of sitting at home? I went back to the track, the first place I headed to, and started that fire burning again, basically, at the grand old age of 35. And most people's athletics careers are over, essentially.
Yeah. So, curious one, I guess you must have felt like you've missed your boat, sort of thing.
Absolutely,
your time's
100%,
gone.
yeah.
And so, 35, divorce, you're like, okay, I need an outlet. You go back to the track. Is there anything different, like immediately? Or is it just that you're going more consistent now, or what happens then?
There's nothing immediately different. No, I just sort of started working on sessions, found out, okay, I'm still
got it.
Reasonably fast, yeah. Still reasonably fast. And the sessions were plodding along nicely, and my coach Trevor, who had said, what do you think about this master scene? And I thought, okay, yeah, I could give it a go and see where it goes.
And so for the listener who might not be familiar with the term, what does Masters?
Masters athletics works from the age of 35 onwards. So you go up in 5-year age brackets, so 35 to 40, and Masters 40, and so on. And it gives you a good chance to sort of dabble back in and get some experience.
So there's a period where it feels like it's all over. You go back to training and you think, actually I'm okay, and actually there's this Masters thing. Let's have another crack at it.
Yeah.
Is that essentially
Yeah.
how it went? And so from there, we didn't meet you till you're 49. So fill us in that sort of 35 to 49 period.
The races, the training started to go really well. I got myself back to running around about 11 and a half seconds, 35, 36, 37. So I entered the Scottish Champs, and my first big event in 10, 12 years didn't go very well. I fell 10 metres from the finishing line, didn't cross the line, and I was in a winning position. And if you go back to how I drifted away, it didn't affect my mentality because there wasn't any pressure when I was in the first year of the Masters age groups. So I just sort of dusted myself down, trained up again, and went back again the next year and picked up that gold medal.
Just
That's very casual.
So just interesting points there. So like were you 22 that first time?
Yeah.
You're 22. You have the weight of expectation, or the perception, or the feeling of the weight of expectation on your shoulders. You have this setback, and it really knocks you for a few years to the point that you actually
Drift away completely.
leave the sport you love. You come back, age 35. you realise, hey, I've still got a bit about me here, and there's an age category that's going to work for me. You experience what sounds like a worse setback, falling.
It was
and not
absolutely
finishing.
worse, yeah, because I was in that race. I'd done everything right in the first part, like the technical stuff. I was in the lead. I was 10 metres from the finishing line and basically blanked out. Still to this day, don't know what happened. And collapsed at the end of the track.
And so I hear you saying that because nobody expected anything of you, it didn't matter to you either.
No.
Or, I mean, it must have mattered.
It did matter, but
you were
not
able
to the same
bounce
level.
back.
Yeah.
And is there anything else, like at play, that you feel helped you bounce back the second time? Like, did the first time maybe help the second time?
Knowing that I was in the winning position in the race, and that I still had the ability to get myself from A to B and perform, and I just wanted to get up there and do it again.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting, I think.
Mindset of an athlete.
Yeah. If you were to go back, do you think, or maybe an easier way to look at it, if there was a young athlete going through what you went through at 22, what sort of advice would you give them in terms of like trying to manage the mental side of that and the setback and the pressure?
Yeah, it's important to try and put it behind you as quickly as possible. That's what I did the second time around. Just put it in the back burner and forget about it.
How does someone do that? How did you do that?
It's hard to put into words, really. The will to win, and I just wanted that. I'd never, with the expectancy of being told you're favourite to win the title back in my younger days, I knew I could do it again, and I had to get that medal. And at 37, it was my first Scottish title, and it felt great, and I wanted more.
Sounds like it was unfinished business.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's probably out of a lot of medals, that first gold medal was the catalyst, if you like, to
go on
carrying on
and
through. Now it's the longest period I've ever been sprinting now.
Yeah, I want to continue the story from that moment. I also want to throw something else into the mix. I almost lost my train of thought there, so I just have to concentrate. I wonder, and you can bat this away, but I wonder like how much at 22, that experience, you talk about the pressure and stuff. I wonder how much that sense of pressure came from feeling the need to please everybody else versus coming back at 35. You were coming back, it sounds like a lot more just for you and for because you want to sprint.
Absolutely, 100% correct. Yeah, because when that incident happened to my parents, the champs was at Meadowbank, and my parents had come to see me for the first time at a big championship, and that feeling, as well as my coach, my parents, had let them down as well. They'd come to see me at local events in Aberdeen, but local events were just races, if you like. But failing at a big champs was a disaster, if you like.
So you love, we'll go back to the beginning, you love the feeling of running fast. You love tinkering so you can optimise the performance, and you love winning. And it sounded like coming back, that's where you were. Whereas in that moment in 22, it was less about that and more about all the external stuff around it.
Yeah. There was lots of stuff going on.
So you won that gold medal that you just kind of threw in a little bit quietly.
Oh yeah, that one.
I think you said that was like a catalyst.
Yes.
So what happened next?
I carried on, just competing at local Scottish championships, and up until 45, I decided I was going to go to an international competition, and I'd entered the European Indoor Masters in Poland, which was a big thing for me, really, because when you go from local to international, it's a big step. And worked really hard. It was a new age group, so when you're going to a new age group, obviously you're competing against people who could be 3, 4, or 5 years older than you. It's a big difference. So you try and be the best you can be in the first couple of years of that age group.
Yeah. So when you're the youngest, you've got your best chance.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So I went out to this. I just decided to enter. I went out to this Masters in Poland, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my athletics career.
Tell us more. Go on.
You'll hang on the words here.
Indoors is 60 metres and 200 metres for athletes, for sprinters especially. And I went out. I entered the British Champs for the first time indoors, and I'd gone down and competed in the 60 and 2. And my performances were good in the 60, but in the 200, I was beginning to really see some possibilities. And for the first time, I got into a final of a British Champs and came away with a silver medal. And the silver medal was like, okay, this is a whole new ball game. I've now got a British Championship silver medal. And the confidence, Trevor, my coach, had said you could see the confidence was rising in me, and he'd never seen that before. And it was a good catalyst for going out to Poland. I went out to Poland and got to semi-finals of the individual events in the 60 and the 200. Came away with 4 personal bests in that age group. And I made the selection for the 4x200 relay team, for the Great Britain team, is made out there based on performance. Jase knows how it works. And I was selected for the 4x200 relay team, and we went on to win a gold medal.
Trying to hide the smile for the YouTube. Try to disguise the smile. Go on, Jase.
We've actually got the gold medal here, do we?
Yes, we do.
For those watching on YouTube, you can hold it up, and
This is my European gold medal for 4x200 metres, and it's my pride and joy. Hangs on my wall.
It sounds like again you kind of touched on before that you're more in the shy, quiet type, and it sounds like that made a big difference mentally for you as much as anything. Your coach said it raised your confidence. What do you think? What do you think is going on there? Obviously, winning is winning, but talk to us a bit more about that. The difference it made for you.
Because the performance is there, it's not necessarily helping your Jase knows if you're performing on the track, it's natural. Well, a certain amount of it is natural, and it's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, I don't know.
Is it kind of like I'm trying to think of the word I want. I'm going to use this other word, but it's not the word I want. It's like is it kind of feel like a justification again? It's not really the word I want, but of all the training, is it like is it just bringing when you win? Is it just bringing together all that work and training and improving?
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah. It's just showing the performance is there. Yeah.
So what year was that?
2015.
2015. And so you're already like a gold medal winning sprinter. By the time you come to see us 2019, what happened in those ensuing years?
Performances were still there, but they were decreasing. Obviously, as you get older, you're not going to get any faster. You have to get that mentality that you're always going to decrease year on year as you move through the age groups. And with Jase joining us in our training group, I got this idea that if I can improve, I'd never worked in any strength performance at all in training. It was all just running based training. And Jase had sort of lighted a fire in my head. Okay, maybe if I got stronger, I could get quicker.
Here's something else I can add into the mix and tinker with.
He was inspired by the explosive nature of my body.
But tell us a bit more from your side of things, Jase, going to that like sprinting groups and what the group was like, and did you see something to say, actually, you guys are missing a beat here?
Yes and no. Like, so they were doing plyometrics and drills, and I think, so obviously I don't have the years of conditioning behind me or the years of running. I mean, I think I've made it known I don't actually enjoy running. I think it's quite common. I like running very short distances for really fast periods of time, or at least I like to try. But I didn't have all the years of conditioning. So in order for me to play the game with these guys, I had to do something different. And I put all my years of weight training and Olympic lifting to use. And I could take the first 20 meters, hold on in the middle, and then they catch me and beat me at the end. But and I remember Stan was always, like, a few of them were always like, how can you get out of there so quick? And the only thing I could put it down to is being able to move heavy load over distances and fast.
Yeah, more power in the legs.
More power in the legs, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was that, and then just speaking, I thought, well, if we're going to do the plyometric stuff, well, let's add in plyometric stuff, because it was more hurdle drills.
That's
and,
right, yeah.
Sort of static holds. I was like, well, let's add in prowlers, sleds, power work, jumps, and I think everybody made a bit of a jump that summer.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was
absolutely
fair summer for everyone. Not me.
Because you already had that in
I already had that.
You need the other.
Just had the power.
Yeah.
So it was good to see, and again, as a coach, and as you know, I love geeking out on strength side, and we're going to chat about tinkering very, very soon. I can't wait to get into that, because that's when that's the kind of things I love geeking out about. But just seeing Stan, for example, who has never done strength training, pick up strength training, do more plyometric stuff, but then actually seeing him come out the blocks and having that moment of going, oh,
it works. It works.
It does work. And you know, even though, like you say, you're going through the age groups, you're still developing, which is, it's inspiring and it's amazing at the same time.
Yeah.
We had a question come in about exercise and aging, and you know, 50 is by no means like old. I don't know what is old, but
I get told it's after 30. So.
but how many people would think that
they're done?
Well, how many people would think it's too late to pick up sprinting again at 35? It's a young man's game, young woman's game, and then again, can I come to the gym and add power and strength, age 50 plus? But actually, the person who's never done it, regardless of the age, has the most to gain. And so Stan, you came to see us. Talk to us a little bit about how you felt coming in and what your first impressions were coming in.
I was quite nervous coming in. As I say, I'd not really done a lot of gym work before. I'd kind of dabbled in my younger days, but not a lot. And it was quite, I thought about it for about a year, at least.
I tried to convince you for about a year.
Yeah. And I thought, okay, this big birthday's coming up. I want to still perform. I want to still be the best I can be. And I'm going to add this strength side of things into my training program and take it from there. And
so coming in, you said you were a bit...
I was nervous,
off for a year.
My strategy session was with yourself. I came in and it went quite well, and I thought, I did my month, and I could see that things were going to be... It was a nice environment to come into. There was a familiar face, which helped. If I hadn't been that familiar face, I dare say I may not have gone down that road to the extent I did. And I think I settled in quite nicely and got to it. And
so after your 30-day trial, how convinced were you at that stage?
Absolutely 100%. I don't think when you asked me, do you want to sign up, I'm pretty sure I didn't hesitate.
And so what do you think convinced you? Were you already seeing a difference on the track, or was it more about the training environment?
I think I sent you an email in that first 30 days saying I'd run a race almost at the end of the 30 days, and I'd seen improvement by 0.2, and it heading towards 50. Improvement of 0.2 is a lot.
Yeah, it's massive. Big jumps. Big jumps in sprinting. I'll keep it right.
I'd been running about the 11. Sorry, not 11. No, that's going back to long. Around about the 12.7 sort of mark. and I'd immediately gone down to 12.5. And I thought, okay, this is working.
It must be this.
This is going well. This is going to.
And I remember you saying at that point, getting the Scottish Championships titles. There was two things I think you said: turning 50 and the Scottish Championships.
That's right. Well, I joined you in April, and the champs are generally always around about mid to end of July. So I felt I had a period of time that I could work towards building in a little bit of strength. Not too much, because you don't want to be doing too much strength work in your race periods, but I could dabble and see how it goes.
Yeah, and you'd competed at those championships before in years gone by.
Yes.
Yeah, in previous years.
I'd won gold medals over the years, but I'd never won the double and the 100 and the 200 I essentially compete in. And that was the first time in 2019 that I won the 100 and 200 together.
Nice.
Boom.
So it came in, you showed it 50 plus, added in strength training, it's made a big difference to your training, and you picked up the medals.
I went on to take my times down even further. I went down to 12.4, which I never thought was likely in that particular year. So yeah, I couldn't have been happier.
And this year?
This year I won the double.
There we go.
I've never done that before either. So that was another markup, if you like.
Yeah.
And I feel I'm just getting stronger every time. I'm PBing regularly in the gym. Obviously, 2020 was slightly different because of the COVID situation. I'm not a technical person, so I didn't like the idea of the Zoom sessions. So I kind of had to do my strength work on my own, basically, because of the way things were. But I just carried on. I'd had a good year behind me working with you guys. I picked up the stuff and I just worked away at it at home. And it provided what I needed, basically.
And you know, you've added the strength in, you've gone on from strength to strength, picking up more medals, hitting PBs and things. Talk to us a little bit about that mental state and where you're at now with that.
The mental state is that I have to keep on winning. I just want to keep on winning. It's that simple. Why would you put in the work that you're putting in? I train essentially 6 days a week, mixing up my strength work with my track work. And why would you do it not to win?
Yeah.
It really is as simple as that.
Yeah, I love it. Like the whole thing, like, because it kind of goes against the grain and what in society, what people would think about
societal norms of
exercise and sport and athletics, and you know, here you are, 50, getting better, picking up medals, and still going strong. So yeah, great. We're going to touch on. Sorry, do you have something, Jase?
I was going to mention that I thought we spoke a little bit about highs and lows there, and then a lot of highs coming up to now. But the last year it hasn't actually been that plain sailing for you.
It's not been as smooth as you would like it to be, no. And at the end of 2019, I had a little bit of a knee injury, which knocked me back probably 4 to 6 weeks. Couldn't run, couldn't do my strength work, and you just kind of sort of have to let that period go. There's not a lot you can do when you have an injury to that extent. But the mentality is. The old mentality had gone, if you like. It was still, okay, I want to get back as soon as possible. I want to get back to training. I want to get back to the strength side of things, the speed side of things, and get back to it as soon as possible. It's a totally different mentality what I had when I was younger. I just want to be performing all the time.
So, yeah, so picking up a setback now feels different from when it did before.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just a little hitch, if you like.
So I'm just trying to get my head around like what's going on. You know, there's a line. You can make a mountain out of a molehill, or a molehill out of a mountain, and it sounds like in the past you might have made mountains out of molehills.
Yeah.
Now, when you know, like,
But you're young and inexperienced at that point, and some certain things don't matter. Although I'm not saying they don't matter, but they're not essential, if you like. And it was really, I was never a good trainer. I worked away at my athletics, but I could have worked harder, and it was easy to walk away, if you like. Whereas it's not even considered anymore.
how much of that is like having a second chance? Then is that?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, who's to say where my career would have gone in my younger days? I could have potentially gone all the way and maybe possibly made a Commonwealth Games or something like that, maybe. But you just got to put that at the back. Everything I've done in Masters outweighs what I could have possibly done as a youngster.
And how do you? That's twice you've almost used the same words about the injury and the sense. There's maybe like a sense of what could have been, but you've said, "Oh, you've got to just sort of put that to the back, put it away." How do you do that?
It's I find it simple at the moment. I enjoy what I'm doing, and if you're enjoying things and training and it's fun, you're getting what you want out of it. You want to get back to it as soon as possible. It's just really as easy as that.
At the same time, right? Because I've had my share of injuries. I know what it's like when you're on top, you're feeling good, and then something happens. Like that can easily deflate you. Like I don't want to let you off the hook here. I'm not sure it's so easy to just say, do you know what? I was enjoying it and I just want to get back as soon as, because there must be some part in your head, do you deliberately just say, right, okay, I accept I'm injured, it is what it is, but here are the steps I'm going to take? Or do you have a moment where you get all pissed off and poor me?
But it's just a flicker now. It's just like, oh, well, I'm injured again. And okay, you get a little bit down, but maybe for a short while, maybe a day or two. But then you think, okay, I've got a championship coming up, and you think, okay, right, I need to work on getting past this injury, do what I have to do to get past the injury, and the race is in the distant future. I need to be at that race.
Mm-hmm. Notice the word "need" there a few times. It sounds like it literally just sounds like we spoke in last week's show about living by highest priority, the most important thing to you. And it just sounds like right now that sprinting is so important to you that the setbacks that you experience on the way,
they almost don't matter.
Yeah, they almost don't matter, because it's just like,
well, they don't. It's just a little knock on the road, is it? On the long road. And Jase knows how competitive sprinters are. You can't train just to rock up and race. If you're putting the effort in that you're doing 5-6 days a week, you go to win.
Yeah.
You can't just.
I guess that's where I went wrong.
I think that's the other thing. Like, and I'm not a sprinter, but it strikes me that by the very nature of the sport, it's all or not. It's max. It's a maximum test when you're on the track. Whereas in a sport like mine, like in football, like some people can play. You can carry an injury and get through a game.
Yeah.
You can play less than all out. People do it.
Yeah.
And same with other sports. But if you don't give your very best,
But you can't carry an injury in sprinting, because you're pushing your body to the absolute limits. Mm-hmm. The absolute limits.
Yeah.
You're all the time. You are straining every sinew in your body to get to that from the start line to the finish line.
Mm-hmm. 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 Anything to add, Jase?
No. Thought I'd maybe touch on kind of leaving athletics for a little bit and picking up strength training at just before 50 years old. How's that affected everything else?
Not a lot, to be honest. Apart from the fact that it's made me feel better within myself. I know I'm stronger.
Yeah.
It's even improved my work level in terms of, okay, you used to go and get help to lift certain things, but now you can just carry them into the house yourself, sort of thing. I genuinely feel the fittest I've probably ever been in my life.
Super.
Yeah. You won't ask, is there anything that we haven't asked him yet? Do you want to do that bit?
Yeah, okay, we'll do that bit. Well, a couple of other bits then. Is there anything that we haven't asked you about that you would like to chat about or share? And the other is there anything you'd like to sort of leave the listener with?
I've got a shoe here that I like. This is a sprint shoe. It's a specific sprint shoe, and this goes a long way to helping my mentality and my performance. It's a very light shoe, and
About the same weight as a pen.
yeah, it's probably lighter than a
It's
pen.
probably like that.
I think it weighs something like 60 grams or something like that, and it feels like you're running. This literally feels like you're running on air, and when you have it on your feet and you're running at a speed that feels really good, it's nothing better.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like that just goes into this like.
I'll do anything I can to be better.
Yeah, it's there's the bit there about what's most important to me and where am I going to put my attention, focus, time, money, but also there's a big mental piece there. I think there for a sense of confidence and a sense of I'm doing everything to be as well as I can, and it's a special shoe, right? So you feel special when you're with the shoe. Do you know what I mean? It's there's something else to add in there. I
think. I don't train in those. Those are just for racing. Mm-hmm. I maybe do the odd couple of sessions in them prior to a race, just to get the feel of them. I train on another pair of Adidas spikes, but they feel good when they're training. But when you put these on a race, and you're doing your run throughs and your warm ups and all this kind of stuff,
it's on.
It's just you just feel okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a almost like a sense of ritual to it when the magic shoes go on.
You'll know from like your football days, you put the left one on, then you put the right one on.
Yeah, but now you're like, I'm good. It's all part of building that self-image and that confidence.
Just will probably back this up. When you're turning up for a race, you go through the same rituals every time. You always start off your stretching, your rolling, your drills in this exact same order that you do every time. And the final thing is you do all that in your trainers, and when you put these on, you know you're ready to.
How much of that would you say is for the physical, and how much is it for the mindset, the mental preparation?
There's both, definitely both. The mindset of a sprinter is everything, and if you're ready, and you know you're ready, then you know you're going to perform the best you can. So
the ritual's a little bit about getting physically warmed up and limbered up, ready to go. Yeah. But there's also a part of just about getting the right frame of mind.
It's very much
I like that word, limber. Limbering is not a sprinter's word.
It's very much the good omens, the good luck. If you do something slightly different, you have a bad race. It's because you did that, and it's you need to do your.
Footballers are very much like that. It's a bit superstitious.
I also have a coach who's very good at getting you mentally prepared as well, and he drops in little statements here and there, like if he can see that you're not quite ready, he'll drop something in that can sort of re-spark the.
And could you give us an example of those sorts of things?
Run fast, turn left.
And well, as we go through certain age groups, we chase club records. It's a big thing to have club records, and I think at the M45 age group, Trevor had said to me, we turned up for a race, and you could see that I was just in an average mood sort of thing, just started turning up for a race, and I'd been chasing the record for a good few months now, and he said to me, "This is not a day for records today, Stan." And I thought, is he having a
what's his game here?
Yeah, what is he getting on out here? And then I said, okay, so I went out and I ran 4/10 faster than I had all season, so he dropped that thing in there, and I walked away with a club record that day.
And you did the typical, I'll show you. Watch this.
But it's weird because you don't actually think that way.
No.
And you just go into your starting blocks and say, okay, I'm feeling good here, but Trevor thinks this is not a record day, so okay, let's see what we can do.
There's such a throughout your whole story, your whole journey, and I know, like, having been involved in sport myself, there's such a strong mental piece to it. Do you see much carryover from like the mental sort of skills you have to develop in sport into your everyday life?
Not necessarily, no. Apart from the fitness sort of thing and getting up and going to work and stuff like that, no, I don't think so. No, I do my work,
and then you sprint.
and then I go to training. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
Good. And anything else that you want to leave us with, or share with someone who might be listening in?
I don't think so. No, I think for anybody who age is not a thing as far as I'm concerned. And when it comes to whether it be running or cycling or whatever, you should always try and be the best you can be. It's age is just a number. Keep working at it, and the performances will come along.
Right. Stan, I think you're a prime example of it's never too late, and you can always do things no matter your age. It's been inspiring hearing your story today. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Mike, thanks for hosting with me.
Thank you.
I was just sitting here chilling. I did an easy job. Folks, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please like, share, subscribe, send it to a friend, and I guess we'll catch you in the next one. See you then.